Welcome to Weasel Digital, and welcome to So You Wanna Fly. This is a series of guides meant for newer players to help them get a quick build put together and get some tips on how to fly those ships to make the most of their time in Star Wars Squadrons. Now today we're going to be looking at the A-Wing. However, first we want to take a word from our sponsor. And today's episode is brought to us by Wilro and Hood's Ice Cream. As Wilro and Hoods always say, everyone has a little rebel in them. Treat yours to some ice cream. And don't forget that all this month at Wilro and Hoods, if you order the Beskar Special, you will get the commemorative ice cream safe to keep your treats safe and secure from any Imperial interlopers. So with that, let's take a look at that A-Wing. The RZ-1 A-Wing is an interceptor class ship. Since the early days of the Rebellion, the RZ-1 A-Wing's exceptional speed has made it an effective, agile counter to Imperial starfighters. This ship is a proverbial glass cannon. It can do large amounts of damage, it's extremely fast, but it is extremely fragile. It makes it so it's not really a ship I would suggest to rookie players. I would say that you're probably better off flying an X-Wing in dogfights, flying an X-Wing in fleet battles, or maybe taking a run with your Y-Wing on bombing runs in fleet battles. But if you're the kind of person that prefers speed, fast, quick hits, really agile gameplay, then the A-Wing may be more up your kind of avenue. So if we take a look at it there, we can see the max hull is sitting at 500. That is the second lowest hull in the game. And the shields are set at 500 also, which is the second lowest shields. Now in both of those cases, the ship that is the lowest in those fields has a considerably higher number in the other field. So seldom do you have something that's really low in both areas, and here you have something that's very low in both. However, it makes up for it in speed. Its max speed is 160, which is the second fastest in the game. The max acceleration is 196, which is the third fastest acceleration. And it's tied for the second highest maneuverability stats. So it's quick, it accelerates fast, it maneuvers well. It just dies really quickly. Other ships can take a few hits and try to escape out. The A-Wing is not so lucky. So we're going to start off by looking at a dogfight build. And this is a dogfight build for rookies. It is not the dogfight build I use. When I play dogfights, I fly the A-Wing exclusively when I'm playing the Rebels. I love this ship. It is so fun to fly. It's how I get my huge numbers that I do, the large number of kills, the big kill streaks, the large amounts of damage. It's because I fly this A-Wing. Now, I'm not going to be showing you my build because this is a build for rookies, for brand new players. If you want to see the build I use, go check out my other strategy video on the A-Wing. But right now, we're going to be looking at a beginner's build. So we're going to stick with our primary as the standard laser cannon. The reason for that is it's a little more forgiving. There are some other options. I really love the rapid fire cannon, but the standard cannon has longer range at 1,000, whereas the rapid fire cannon is limited to 600 meter range. The standard laser cannon also has a higher ammo capacity. It can shoot for a much longer period of time, and its DPS is decent. Now, it doesn't shoot super fast, but it's good enough. And if you're in a jousting type situation with another interceptor class ship, and they have that 600 meter range weapon, you're actually going to be able to blow them out of the sky before they can really do much to you. For our auxiliary, we are going to stick with our repair kit for our left auxiliary. This can heal a little more than half your total health, so it's very good to keep this and use it to heal yourself up. For our right auxiliary, we're going to be taking our cluster missile. Cluster missile is a little bit different than most of the other weapons out there. It fires a cluster of missiles at the same target. Great against tough targets, only uses 1 ammo per unit. It can fire up to 4 missiles. They're all going to go at the same target. This is great for getting past enemy countermeasures. The Seeker warheads can only knock out 2 missiles. So this can actually fire 4 missiles, each one of them capable of doing 450 damage. It has a long cooldown, but that's okay because we're not going to be using it all that often. Each missile takes 0.8 seconds to lock on, so it does take a little bit of lead up time to actually lock on all 4 of the missiles, but you can fire it with fewer missiles locked. Countermeasures, we're going to stick with the Seeker warheads. They are the superior countermeasure. It is the way to go. For our hull, we're going to go with our dampener hull. This increases hostile lock time, so it makes it harder for the enemy to lock missiles on us. For shields, we're actually going to stick with our regular standard deflector shield. The trade-offs for the other shields are not good enough for the negative effects. And for our engine, we're also going to be sticking with our standard engine. Now, the role of this fighter in dogfights or in fleet battles is to take long, sweeping attack runs all the way across the battlefield. You want to head out to one side or the other, move in towards where the action is, pick a target, get your lock on, start firing your lasers, fire off your missiles, and then just swoop on past them. Just keep going. You're going to want to keep a little power to engines and just boost away. Refill your shields if you need to, turn yourself around, pick a new target, and just make another attack run. You're going to be moving fast enough that most people are going to struggle to hit you. If you continue to fly when someone's chasing you, they're going to give up due to your speed and the range of your flight and the way you can use your boost. You're going to be able to stay out of the effective range of most weapons. And you just keep zooming back across the battlefield, taking out whatever targets you can find. Now, my preferred build is more of a knife fight kind of build. I like to get into the action and stay in the action. If that's more your style, definitely check out my other builds, my other A-Wing video. It'll show you that build. But this is a great build. In fact, this is one of those builds that really annoys me when I have to face it, because it's hard for me to chase them down. It's hard for me to counter them. I'll be engaged with another target when this guy comes swooping in from the side and blows me up. It's a great way to really help your team out, pick out some key targets, and do some damage. The other build I'm going to talk about is more for fleet battles if you really don't want to give up your A-Wing. In fleet battles, if you're past the point where you're doing damage to enemy fighters and you actually need to be putting some damage on the frigates, the light cruisers, or the capital ship, the Star Destroyer, then there's actually one other build you could use for that with the A-Wing. Again, I think it's better to use an X-Wing. I think it's better to use a Y-Wing in those situations. I always switch out of my A-Wing in fleet battles when I'm attacking capital ships. And I switch to that Y-Wing or the X-Wing builds, which you can find in the other quick start guides. But if you're determined to use the A-Wing, there is kind of a neat little build you can do. We're going to stick with the standard laser cannon. That way you can start doing damage from long range, and you can still do some decent fighting against fighters. We're going to drop out our left auxiliary weapon, and we're going to go with our ion rockets. For our right auxiliary, we're going to go with our barrage rockets. The ion rockets do 300 damage of ion damage. They fire off 1 shot per second. They have a cooldown of 0.2 seconds, so you can actually fire them real nice and quickly. They have an ammo capacity of 30. Now, this is a dumbfire weapon. It's going to fire straight ahead of you and hit whatever's there. The barrage rockets, 60 damage. You have 40 shots with them. Cooldown of 0.3 seconds. So again, you're just firing off these rockets. The point of this build is to make the same long passes, but against capital ships. So you'll be able to fly in at frigates and unload with your ion rockets to destroy their shields, or your barrage rockets to do hull damage, or both. You can just unload with both, hold down your laser cannons. As soon as you enter 1,000-meter range, you pull down all 3 triggers, and you're just going to unleash a barrage of damage and weapons fire. This still leaves you with the option to go after fighters too. If you see some lone fighter, some X-Wing, or some TIE fighter that's on his own, or a support ship that you want to take out, or a TIE defender that's not paying attention, you can divert from the attack run against the ships and go for them instead. We're going to stick with our Seeker Warhead countermeasures. And for our hull, we're going to go with our dampener hull again. For shields, in this build, it's okay to go with the overloaded shield. The overloaded shield reduces primary and auxiliary damage taken, but it does make it so it takes a lot longer to regen your shields. And if they're ever completely depleted, you cannot regen them at all. This allows you to avoid some of that damage as long as you're making those nice quick passes over the enemy ships. You should be okay with this shield. Once you're past the ship and you're boosting away, you're going to want to make sure that you switch over to your shields, regen those shields up, take that time to regen it. You can, however, just stick with the standard shields. That's perfectly fine. We're going to stick with our standard engines also. The other ones all have some drawbacks that we don't want to deal with for our builds, so we're going to stick with our standard engine. We'll go ahead and demonstrate how both of these work out, and if I'm feeling like it, I might even show you my knife fight build in this video after we're done, showing the in-game perspective of how to fly this ship. Now we're taking a look at our dogfighting interceptor here. And again, when you come out, you are going to want to charge your shields, put your power to engines, pick your targets, lock your missiles, blast away, and once you've made contact with the targets you're going to shoot, you're going to want to boost. Put some distance between you and the enemy. When you're boosting at nearly 260, very few ships are going to be able to keep up with you or are going to want to try to chase you down to do anything. Pick a new target, approach them, lock your missiles, fire your blasters, boost away. You're doing quick hit and run tactics. You want to damage enemy fighters, especially ones that are engaged with your teammates. You want to fire off those missiles. You want to do what you can. Even if you don't get the kills, someone else is, you're getting the assists. But then you boost away so that they can't damage you. They can't kill you. Feel free when you do boost away, if no one's on you, to switch your power to shields. Regen those back up for a little bit. Turn around, pick your new targets, lock and attack. You never really need to move your power to your weapons in this kind of a build, because most of the time you're just doing quick hit and runs. If you are in a situation where you can get in behind someone and really hammer them, you could switch to weapons just to be able to do that damage. Now we'll take a look at the bomber build. The entire concept of this ship, again, you're going to want to charge up your shields, put your power to engines. You're making hit and run targets against their capital ships. Once you get into range, you unload with everything. Do your damage, turn, or boost past. Just escape out, go back, rearm, re-equip, recharge your shields, get your engines boosted up, and make another attack run. The entire concept is to just repeat this attack run, being very quick, being very deadly, doing what you can quickly. So with that, I hope you feel a little more comfortable with the A-Wing, some potential builds for beginner players, and how you want to utilize those builds in combat. With that, as I did mention before, I feel like I should show you my knife fight build. I do swap out for the rapid fire cannon. The whole point of this build is to get into the heart of the action and be in there fighting close range all the time. I try not to do jousting matches. I often fail. Let's just be honest here. All right. So the big changes is I switch over to the rapid fire cannon. 600 meter range, higher DPS. Basically, you get short, really strong, powerful bursts of damage. You can rip apart ships pretty quickly. If they're at full health, or it's something like a bomber that has a lot of health, or they have the hull that boosts their health, you're not going to be able to get them down before you run out of ammo. But you're going to do significant damage to them, and if you can stay on them, you can finish them up while you chase them down. I keep the repair kit because I'm going to be in the heart of action a lot. I'm going to need to repair a lot. I go with the quick lock missiles. They lock quickly, 1.3 seconds. They only do 375 damage, which is really, really weak. It's very light damage. But when you couple it with some strong blaster fire from your 600 meter range weapons, it's nice. It's a good way to finish off targets, especially targets that are running away. It's a good way to add damage to those high health targets. Cooldown is 4 seconds, so you can often get a couple of these off pretty quickly, and you do have 8 of them. Their strong homing means they're likely going to hit. I, of course, stick with the Seeker Warheads. I go with the Dampener Hull to make it harder for them to lock onto me. I leave it as standard shields. I'm not going to lose my shield regen. That's going to end up hurting me. And I'm going to go with the micro thrust engines. That increases my maneuverability while lowering my acceleration to max speed. Now, overall, I lose a little bit of health. I lose a lot of speed. I lose a lot of acceleration, dropping me down several ranks in those categories. I'm going to be like the third slowest ship at this point. But I don't care in dogfights. In dogfights, most of that combat's going to be happening close range, so it's not a huge loss. The loss of acceleration also will not be that great of an effect. But for that trade-off, you get a lot more maneuverability. And in those dogfight matches, when there's several enemies nearby, that maneuverability is key. You can corner tighter than other ships. You can turn faster than even the boost drift turns. So it is a really, really quick ship. It's good at those close range fights, getting in there, picking a target, hammering it down, moving on to the next target really quickly. So that's my build, but it is more of an experience build. It's not something I would try using right from the start. The A-Wing is a big-time glass cannon. You will get shot down very quickly in this thing. You do not have a lot of survivability. So be careful using this. Be aware of what you're going into. Definitely consider using the X-Wing instead if you're a little inexperienced yet. So with that, I hope you feel better about the A-Wing. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.